Here's a lighting tutorial that you can do in 5 minutes. Grab your Smegsy drawing. First, you want to make a new layer and click this. Then you want to scroll and click multiply. Just select a dark red color and just drag and drop. Very nice. And then just click clipping mask to crop it. Ah yes, low exposure. Make another layer and select this piss color. I put it on the side like this and set it to add. I also highlighted the Smegsy eyes too. Lastly, add the background. Alright, so here's the before and after. Smegsy.
Alright, so the very first trick comes from Colleen. Let's see what it actually does. And honestly, I really like how this looks. The character instantly feels more vibrant, more alive, and way more eye-catching than before. It's a small change, but it actually makes a noticeable difference in the overall rendering. Now let's try the same trick on another drawing. This time, I follow the exact same steps. Then red marking strokes to guide the shapes, creating a new layer, and finally adding yellow highlights. But this time, it didn't hit the same. Something just feels off. Maybe it's the background, or maybe the color combination isn't working as well with this character. It still adds some effect, but it's not as impactful as the first one. So yeah, I think this trick really depends on the artwork and color harmony. When it works really well, but it's not guaranteed for every piece. Overall, I'd still say this is a pretty useful trick. I'd rate it a solid 8 out of 10. Let's move on and see what the next trick is. Alright, let's move on to the second trick. So first, I picked a completely new drawing to test this on. Now, the first step is to select a soft brush. I'm using an airbrush for this. Next, I start adding that color in the middle areas of the character. After that, I switch to a lighter tone and I take this layer and change the blending mode to overlay. And okay, wait, this looks way too intense right now. So first, I reduce the opacity a bit to tone it down. Now it looks more balanced, and the saturation feels more controlled instead of being overly strong. But honestly, I'm not really feeling a big difference here. It doesn't look bad, but at the same time, it doesn't feel anything extraordinary either. So let's try it one more time. Again, I follow the exact same steps. Start with the airbrush, add some darker tones, then a bit of yellow, switch the layer to overlay, and reduce the opacity. Now looking at it, the character does get a slightly different tone, and the saturation feels a bit more unified. But still, the overall impact is pretty minimal. It's one of those tricks that might work in some cases, but here it's just okay. So yeah, for this one, I'd give around a 6 out of 10. Not bad, but definitely not something game-changing. Let's move on to the next trick.
I tried the rainbow method from Xiao Hongshu. Create a multiply layer on top of your finished drawing. Color the top half with yellow, followed by red, purple, blue, and green. Add blue to the inner corner of the eyes, yellow on the chin, and dark red on the cheekbones and nose. I'm starting to think this method might be a troll. Go to Filter, Gaussian Blur. IBIS Paint's Gaussian Blur is weak, so we have to blur it more with smudge. Set the opacity to around 30%, add another multiply layer, color the lips, tip of the nose, the ear with red, and then blur it and lower the opacity. I also tried it with overlay and the color looks pretty. This is before and after.
Alright, so for this next trick, I've already filled in all the base colors of the character. Now the main idea here is to use a new layer and set it to multiply to control the lighting and shadows. So first, I create a new layer and apply the multiply blending mode. Then I start adjusting the opacity to keep the effect subtle and not too overpowering. At this stage, honestly, there isn't a huge visible change. It adds a bit of depth, but nothing too dramatic. You really have to look closely to notice the difference. But let's try it again properly and follow all the steps more carefully. So once again, I fill in the colors neatly according to the shapes and regions of the character. Then I apply the multiply layer for shadows and lighting control. After that, I'll lower the opacity to blend everything nicely. Now, this actually looks a bit better. The shading feels smoother and slightly more natural. But then I experimented a bit more. Instead of keeping it only on multiply, I switched to overlay for lighting. And honestly, that gave a much better result. The highlights pop more, and the overall artwork feels more vibrant compared to just using multiply. So I'd say multiply works fine for basic shading. But if you really want that extra glow and impact, overlay does a better job. Overall, this trick is decent. It's not bad, but it's also not something amazing on its own. If you have time, you can definitely experiment with it and combine it with other techniques for better results.
So recently, I saw artists on Xiaohongshu using cats to draw human faces. I'm super art blocked, so let's try it. First, find a beautiful cat reference. I'm just kidding, all cats are beautiful. I'm drawing Zibai, and I think this cat kinda looks like her. Trace the cat's facial features, but make it human. It's kinda hard to draw the chin though, because cat's chin is really small. Do cats even have a chin? After the face is done, add the hair and accessories to complete the sketch. And this is the final result. I mean, it's not bad, but still needs some adjustments because, well, we used a cat. This is before and after.
Alright, so for this next one, I've seen a lot of artists using this technique. I checked out different guides, watched a few tutorials, and noticed that many people use this method to draw anime-style faces more accurately. So I thought, why not try in this video as well? For this, I first took a reference image. Then I reduced its opacity so it's easier to draw over without it being too distracting. After that, I started sketching the face by following the structure from the reference. And honestly, this turned out really good. The face looks much cleaner, more proportionate, and overall more polished compared to just drawing it freehand. Personally, I really like this method. It makes the whole process easier, especially when you're struggling with facial structure or proportions. So if you're someone who has difficulty drawing faces, I definitely recommend trying this technique at least once. It's simple, effective, and actually gives solid results. For me, this is easily a 9 out of 10 trick. Alright, let's move on to the final trick of today's video. At first, this one actually looked kind of impossible. Like, it didn't seem like it would work that well. But then I thought, if we can create something like an ocean effect properly, maybe this technique is worth trying. So, let's follow all the steps carefully and see what happens. I started by applying the method step by step, just like shown, building up the colors, blending them, and slowly shaping the overall look. And honestly, this turned out way better than I expected. The ocean effect looks really smooth, detailed, and surprisingly realistic. I genuinely didn't think it would come out this good using this technique. Personally, I'm really impressed with this one. If you're working on backgrounds, especially things like water, oceans, or fluid textures, this trick is definitely worth trying. It gives really satisfying results and can make your artwork look much more dynamic. So yeah, for me, this is easily a 10 out of 10 trick. And yeah, that's it for today's video. We tested a bunch of different art tricks. Some worked really well, some were just okay, and a few honestly surprised me more than I expected. If you enjoyed this kind of content and wanted to try more art tips, trends, or even viral techniques from other artists, make sure to let me know in the comments. Also, tell me which trick was your favorite. And if this video helped you even a little bit, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It really supports me and helps me keep creating more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep creating and keep improving.